Hello, my name is Rachel McClellan. Today I'm going to be walking you through an introduction to Benchmark Universe so that you and your students can both utilize the program and feel confident in using it in your instruction. So what you will see right now is the login page. So we're going to spend time on how do you log in to start with. Then once we get in, you will see we will look at the library, how to select books, how to filter books, how to create bookshelves and assignments so that you feel good about getting in and using the program with your instruction. So with that, like I said, this is your page to log into. Some of you have different URLs set up for your school district. The rest of you will all log in to Benchmark Universe by going to new.benchmarkuniverse.com. Regardless of your URL, your login page all looks the same, and this is the same for both students and teacher accounts. You will put in your username in the first line and then your password. Two more things I do want to point out on this page is your system check. If you are ever experiencing difficulties within Benchmark Universe, we would like you to come and do this system check. It may be that pop-ups are blocked, and that may be stopping you, from even pulling up the books. Or there may be something else that you're having difficulty with. So 9 times out of 10, the system check is going to help you figure out what's going on so that you can continue with using the program on your Chromebooks, on your iPads, on your laptops. Because this is a web-based program, you may find that going from one computer to another, you may have an issue on a new computer, and so we do encourage you to do this system check. The other thing on the right-hand side is the forgot password. At any time, if you forget your password, you can go in and fix it by going through the steps here, or if you want to change your password, this is actually the easiest way for you to go about doing that. So what we will do now is we will go ahead and sign in to Benchmark Universe. And as we're signing in here, you will also see down below there was instructions for you to contact technical support. So if you're still having difficulties within the program, you can always reach out to Benchmark's tech support team. They're wonderful at responding and getting you up and running. So this is my dashboard. So this is my main menu when I go into Benchmark Universe. It will look very much the same for both you and your students. There may be some tiles here or there that might be different depending on how many components, if you have the free ebook subscription or if you are a full Benchmark Literacy customer. But the bulk of your time is going to be spent in the library. It will look very much the same for all of you. You'll see it's a tile field because this is what we see when we're hopping on computers. But like I said, we're going to spend most of our time in the My Library, but there are a couple other tabs I do want to point out to you. The messages, this is where you and your students can communicate within Benchmark Universe. At this time, students cannot message each other. It's just a teacher-student message system. So you can say, hey, there's an assignment here, or hey, I want you to check out this book. It's a good way that students can kind of raise their hand in a virtual world to communicate with you, or you can reach out to your students. The next tab over, you will see the Assignments tab. This is where after you've gone in and created assignments, which we'll spend a little bit of time on today, you can go back in here and look at assignments, see how your students are doing, review notes, edit assignments, and it just houses all of that. So you can create an assignment today and then utilize it next year with a whole new group of students. So that's a great kind of filing system for you. There's also a book reviews area that we'll discuss as well, and the Manage Students tab where you can actually go in and set up groups of students by level or interest or math group, whatever is easiest for you. And then I really do want to point out this little question mark help button. At any point in time, if you're having difficulty, it always happens to me at 11 o'clock at night, I'm not sure what I'm doing, click on this help tab. There's guides to help walk you through things. There are instructional videos here. It's just a really great tool for you to kind of go to and hopefully get you the answers that you need to move forward with using Benchmark Universe. And then in your spare time, there is a tab here for you to go onto the Benchmark blog. It does have some great articles on how to use technology in the classroom, as well as using, instruction with benchmark materials. So I do encourage when there is time to go on to that. I do want to point out, we were just talking about the help button. On pages as we're going through the program and as you go on through it with yourself, there's always these little light bulb show me how buttons. So once again, there's one more step. If you're having difficulty with a page, you can click on these show me how buttons up in the corner, and it's actually going to pop up with a video on how to navigate the page that you're on. So Benchmark has really tried to pull in the supports so that you feel very confident in using this program with your instruction. All right, so now we are going to go to the My Library. Okay, and you will see we're going to pop down to the ebooks, as this is what most of you have. There are over 4,000 books on my ebook and e-posters. Some of you may or may not have those e-posters, just once again dependent on the subscription that you have in your building. All right, so I've got all of these books. As I scroll down, you can see kind of where do I begin, and it's a little overwhelming. You'll see all of our books, our ebooks loaded here, and you'll see the different ones, like this is a reader's theater. I might have a readers and writers genre workshop. So as you get using your Benchmark materials, you'll begin to recognize those covers because they're exactly what you will see in your own hand in your print copies. So what we want to do first is we're going to look at how do I filter, how do I find the books that I want to use for my instruction. On the left-hand side is a way for you to actually be able to search by level. So we have our letter levels, our numbers. There's actually also a toggle down here for your Lexile range. So depending on what you are using for a leveling system, you can do that. So I could look up F, G, H books. And then let's see, I could say, oh, I just want my ebooks. Keep toggling down here on the left. You'll see there's language. Well, for my instruction, I just want to use English, or I just want to use Spanish books. Then you will also see content area so that you can choose, oh, I teach math and I would love to see some really great math books that I could pull in, because we really want to read across the curriculum and write across the curriculum. It's really important to do that. And so here is how many different books on how to that I can incorporate on my kids' reading levels. So there's a ton you can do with that. If you look up at the top, we've just used those couple of filters. I've narrowed down to 95 books. And as you look up here, these are all the different search criteria. I've found all the books on a level F, G, or H, ebooks that are in English, and they're on math. Any point in time, I'm like, well, most of my kids are done with F. They're more the G and the H. I can click off of there on the little X delete, and now these are all my search criteria. You'll also see here up at the top, there's a search for title or keyword. I could put, let's see, shapes in here and see if we can pull up any books. So there are 5 books about shapes. So you could do a keyword, and that's going to be an and or feature. Because I could just do a keyword, a blank keyword. So this is great to do keyword searches when you're doing a special content area. I encourage you to share this with your parents, because this is a great saver, when I'm home with my child and I want to help, foreteach some of that stuff that's going on. And let's look up communities. So that's a great way that you can pull in that. And like I said, you can also put in some of this other search criteria just to narrow it down and make sure you're finding an appropriate book. I do also want to show you there's a whole another slew of way that you can look for books. There's an all filters button here at the bottom. So I've already put in all of these. This is my tech word. It's breadcrumbs. So these are all my breadcrumbs. These are all the, the little pieces I've put down my trail here. But you can also see, you can look up books by theme, by age-appropriate books, comprehension strategies. So let's say I'm working with my students on drawing conclusions, and I can click that off, say, oh, maybe not math. I could pull up all my G and H books about drawing conclusions. There's just a bunch of different genre series. So if I have some of the early explorers books, I may just pop in here and say, okay, we're going to do this in my small group reading. So some of my students are going to be working on Chromebooks while the other group is working with another teacher with the actual leveled books. So you can pull in the early explorers titles. There's just a ton of different, ways that you can go about pulling in different materials. So right now I've chosen GH eBooks English working on drawing conclusions. I'm going to click submit and see what we have out. I still have my shapes pulling over, and so that's why I only have one book. But how amazing is that I can pull up an ebook about shapes that's also going to have a lesson about drawing conclusions. So that's kind of cool. So after I've done all this search criteria, I actually want to create a bookshelf so that every time I come in here, I'm not having to put in all of those filters. On the right-hand side, I can add a new bookshelf. I'm going to name it Shapes and Draw Conclusions. Submit. And I do encourage you to be specific with how you are naming your bookshelves, because as you can see, you'll have a ton of different bookshelves as you're getting through here. And so you want to be able to hop back in there and find what you need. But to put a book onto your bookshelf, all you have to do is simply click on the book and then drag it. So once it's highlighted, you drag it. And when my bookshelf is highlighted, I just let go and it's there. So you can see on the right-hand side, this is how many books are on that bookshelf. At any point in time, if I'm like, oh, this would be a great book for this bookshelf as well, I can simply drag and drop it into any of the bookshelves. As long as it's highlighted, it's going to drop into that bookshelf. All right, so we are going to go back to start over, and so you can see our full library here. So what we just went over is we went over how to filter and find the book that's going to be great for your instruction, and how to create a bookshelf. And now what we're going to do is, now that we have a bookshelf, I actually want to create an assignment, and I'm going to assign some of these books to my students. So we're going to hop down into this Communities bookshelf. Here are all the books that I found that were appropriate for my group of students within the communities. And if I want to read this book and I'm like, oh, what's in here? Libraries are important. I can actually just click on the book and it's going to pop up the story. So I can pre-read it to see if there's an assignment that I want to move forward with it. And I could go ahead and customize it, or if I click on no, I can just read the book. So we're going to hop back in here in just a minute, but I do want to show you how you can see that the books in the ebooks, they look exactly like they do if you were holding the book in your hand. So you'll notice the inside cover here has all of those great questions and comments about the book. You can either toggle between spreads of pages by clicking here at the bottom, or you can, as you scroll over the bottom, you'll see the little pages flip and you can go back and forth. So I can pre-read this book. Like I said, you can add in some customizations if you want to that we'll be going through in just a minute. So I'm going to hop back over here to my bookshelf because I'm actually going to create an assignment about communities for my students. So what I want to do is, right now we're in bookshelves, that's highlighted. I want to click on the assignments tab and we're going to create a new assignment. It's going to be just titled really quick, Communities. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop several different texts into my assignment. This is wonderful that you can put more than one book into an assignment, because I can actually do some cross-text analysis activities. So there's a lot of different things. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to tell my students that, and I'm going to put the instructions here, in just a minute. Oh, right now it is telling me audio for ebooks and e-posters is available. So right now we have clicked on here that my students are going to be able to listen to the Read Books Aloud. Sometimes it may be that you want to actually click off of here so that students aren't able to read it aloud. Times when you might not want them to read it aloud, if it's a book on their level and you really want to increase that independent reading and not use it as a crutch, you might want to click that off. You can as well also go into the assignments tab and you can say, okay, these students need it to be able to use that read aloud feature and these students don't. So that's a great way to be able to differentiate within the program and allow that feature so that each student is able to access the book on their need level. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to type in our instructions in here. And so I could say something like, you know, next week we will be studying communities. And so next week we will be learning about communities. Please read 2 of the books selected and be ready with 4 talking points for our discussion. Okay, so maybe you're going to have them write those you know, a couple things they've learned in the literacy journal, or maybe you're going to have them, like I said, do some cross-text analysis. They're going to read a couple books and tell you, you know, okay, well, what was the same? What was different? You could do this on, you know, a first grade level. You could do this on a 6th grade level. So it's a really great way that you can get students involved, but put in as many instructions as you want to. And then what you need to do is you're going to need to select your students you're going to assign it to. So you're going to select a class, and like I said, you can put your groups, your students into leveled groups. Another one of my classes here, I have them, you know, different names. Maybe it's different interest groups. I'm going to assign this to both my Lions and my Bluebirds. I could also just click on the students, and so you're going to see a whole list of student names that I could just click on and add them to my list that, you know, maybe Romeo needs to also get this. All right. You could select all if you wanted to. You can see all the students. I could click and delete any of the students off of this that I might feel can't grasp this assignment yet. Click on Done. Okay, so I have my students, I have my instructions, my students. The next super important thing to do is your start date. Your start date obviously can't be before today, so we'll go ahead and open it today. I want the students to do some pre-reading for next week's discussion. I'm going to keep it up for next week in case anybody needs to go back and look back in those books after our discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and close the assignment on May 23rd. At any point in time, I can change those dates. I can edit any of this, like I said, and that's going to be going through an existing assignment in your assignments tab. So then I want to be sure after I've done all this work that I'm going to click on Save. Okay. So then now I can access it. The students now have it in their folders to go through and work through the assignment on their pace. So as you can see, it's a very simple thing to do. It really just takes just getting in there and getting your feet wet. You can't mess up, I promise. It's just about getting in and experiencing and learning it. So what I was saying earlier is there's a lot of different features now once we're in the book. So what we've done is we've found books by using our filters. We've created a bookshelf. We've done an assignment. And I should note that you can create an assignment from a bookshelf like what we did, but you could also, if you found a really great book, you know, in the library, you could go ahead and create an assignment straight from the library as well. All right, so I do want to show you a little bit more about how you can customize these books. So when we created the books, we just used the assignment, we just used the books as they were. But the books actually have a lot of different features. if you see, we're going to look at this Libraries Are Important book. On the right-hand side is this little gear button. When we clicked on the book in the middle, you remember the book just came up as just a regular, book, and we looked at it and we were able to read it and preview it. And you could jump start and you could do instructions straight from there. But if you click on this little gear in the right-hand corner, you can go ahead and launch it by hitting the open button, which is what we just did. But if you click on this more information tab, you will notice that you can pull up all the information. Okay, what series is it a part of? What's the level number, letter? What language is it in? And a quick little description. So just like you have that book in hand and you're flipping it over, you can pull all of that. And we're going to look and see on this one. Okay, so here's another one. This one is part of the English Explorers. It's a Lexile 270. You get a little bit more about it. So if you're delving into like communities, it's great to just kind of pop through here and say, okay, this, how many different angles? This one's on libraries. Maybe this one is about a farm community. This is about San Francisco. Pulling in different angles. You can see, you can read it from here. Once again, you can just launch it straight from here. You can also do a review and share. So you can actually write a review after you've read the book and say, oh, this would be a wonderful book for this group of students, or I can see using this text for this purpose. As you will know, once you're really delving into our books, that our books can be used for a million different purposes. Maybe like we did earlier, a book is going to be used for a math class to do a study on shapes, but you're also going to use that same text, 2 months later to teach drawing conclusions. So there's, a bunch of different stuff that you can put on and help other teachers. Likewise, your students, when they're into their Benchmark Universe accounts, they can actually write reviews about their books that their peers in their class can actually see. Great thing is that you have to okay those reviews to be published. So that's a good little big brother watch out there on the web. We don't want our students saying inappropriate things about the books. But this is a great way for them to, be responsible and do kind of a written response about what they've read and say, hey, I think a lot of these students, and they can give the book 5 stars or 3 stars, or, I think my fellow students that really like baseball would love this book on baseball math. So there's a lot of really fun ways that you can incorporate that into your classroom and your instruction. Also want to point out that on this book, underneath here, you'll see related teacher resources. So when you have our books in your library, you get a 6-pack of books, right? And there's the teacher's guide, and then there's that great comprehension card that comes with your books. Well, our ebooks also have all of those pieces for you. So when you're getting ready to use one of our books for instruction, I encourage you to pull up both the teacher's guide and the comprehension card, which I'm going to do right now. These are PDF files. So because they're PDF, wonderful thing is if you are using these books for your instruction and you are sharing them with another teacher, and you also want another teacher's guide, you can go ahead and pull up the teacher's guide right here. You could also print them off. And you can see it opens up another tab. You can go down right now. You'll see the full teacher's guide available to you. And the Benchmark teacher's guides, they are wonderful. I can't say enough about them. They have a ton of different ways, objectives. What's some key vocabulary? What are some strategies that I can do with this book? So that you can really, really bulk up that instruction. Then you can click over here. You can also pull up this comprehension card. So when I plan to teach my students, right, I'm going to have my book in hand. I'm going to have my teacher's guide. I'm going to have my comprehension card. So I have everything ready to roll. You can also do this virtually. Okay, so we have all of these supports, which we're going to come back to in a minute. Okay, we're going to click out of here. Click back on. Right here, I could add this book straight to an assignment. You could remove it from your bookshelf and be like, oh, this wasn't what I was looking for. And then after you've customized it, you can actually drill down and find all the different customized versions. You can customize a book as many times as you want to. So once again, that's where it's really great to label things specific so it's jogging your memory. What was the purpose of me customizing this book? What angle was I taking at it? Was I trying to teach drawing conclusions? Was I trying to teach a math concept? Was I trying to teach sequencing? So what was the purpose of this assignment? All right, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to open up the book, get into it, and create a customized version of the book. As it is loading here, when we just open it up, it's going to ask us, if we're going to customize it or not. So for our purposes right now, we are going to customize it after it loads. And actually, you will see this looks a little bit different. This book might not be available on all iPads. I pulled up, of course, I pulled up a Flash version of a book, and the Flash versions all are being converted over into these ebooks. So this is like one of the rarities that I actually pulled a Flash version into my book. So we do want to do the ebook versions. So we are going to click off, right? We're teachers. We're always going back and recreating the wheel here, and trying not to recreate the wheel, but being flexible is more what I should be saying. So we're going to pull from this one over here since I have this one in my folder. But note that this book is also available in the regular ebook version. So the difference is we always want to work in the ebook ones because those are going to be the ones that are available on your iPads and your Chromebooks. And the Flash ones eventually will be going away. They're still in the system because some of our teachers have a lot of assignments created. You can definitely still use those versions, but like I said, they aren't going to be compatible. They're not going to pull up on your Chromebooks and on your iPads. So I'm kind of glad that happened. So I was sure to tell you about that. All right, so we're going to hop in here, go to that gear button, going to click on that more information. Here's our teacher's guide. Here's our comprehension card. All right, and now we are going to hop into this book and get started again. I'm sorry about that. All right, and now as it's loading, like I said, it's going to ask us to be specific about the customization. Yes, this is going to be for our communities opener. And I'm going to click yes. All right, so what's going to happen is earlier when we launched the book, it was all a navy blue plain background. That's because we're in presenter mode. There aren't as many tools, and you can't save things when you're in the presenter mode. We are now, you'll see on the left-hand side, we are now on edit mode. The biggest visual cue is we have kind of like graph paper behind us because we're working, right? We're architects. We're going to be going through this book, pulling it apart, and putting in sticky notes and customizing it for our students and to make it accessible for them maybe to do independently. Maybe this is a book that I'm going to be putting up on my smartboard and me teaching from. When I'm discussing using it on your smartboard, we want to be sure that you are using the tools built within the program here in Benchmark Universe and not your smartboard tools, because they don't really like each other very much and they'll try to override each other. So we want to be sure that you're using the tools within here. When we're in edit mode, that means we can change anything, make saves, and anything we're doing here can be altered. When we go over to presentation mode, you'll see that the students still have the ability to highlight text, to go up and maybe put something in bold or put a sticky note up there, and they can do things to it, but you don't kind of have to clinch as a teacher because they're going to mess up something you've already put in place, because they can't override anything you've done. Likewise, anything can be erased that they do put into that copy. So we want to be sure that we're working in edit mode when we are customizing the version. Couple other things up here at the top. You can quickly pull over to that presentation mode and check your work that you've done by clicking over there. You can see this is how then you would toggle back to your edit mode, right? Our tools. You can click on the audio and listen to it how it's read. One of the wonderful features about Benchmark Universe that I absolutely love is that it's actually like actors and actresses that are reading these books. So this is great because it has so much intonation. It sounds like somebody is really sitting down next to you and reading these books. This is wonderful for our students. I didn't realize how wonderful it was until I listened to some of these other books, and they're all monotone as they're reading because our students really need to hear that that example in their head and as they're reading and learning how to read. But once again, if it's something that you're trying to get your students to read level G books, you know, I might want to take that off so that they're not using it as a crutch. Also, you can turn annotations on or off. So if you look right here on the sides of your book, there is actually a space to create close reading notes. So if that's a skill that you're working on with your students, this is a wonderful feature. Students can actually go in and write close reading notes, and then you can read them when you're in the assignments tab, which is a really cool thing that you can do for instruction and getting your students to go back and reread and take notes. It's a key thing that we need to be teaching our students today. But if that's too much, let's say I have a kindergarten, you know, first grade student, and that's just something that's going to be a distraction, I can absolutely turn those off by just clicking on this tab over. You can print. This is not going to print out your book in like a foldable or anything. What this is going to do is this is going to give you the ability to print off any notes that you've put into the book if you need them for like a lesson guide or something. And then this is the save button. So as you're working through here and creating things, you want to be sure that you are periodically clicking on this save button so that you're keeping all of that work that you've done. All right, and then I like to go to the bottom here and click up on this arrow so that I can kind of see the spread of my pages and that I'm working on. So we're going to skip over to a page spread here that my students are going to be looking at. If I click on this little wrench over here, this is going to pull over all of my different tools that I have. So like I said, we have a highlighter. This is a pen. You can say how thick you want your pen. Oh, here is a keyword. I know it's in bold print, but I'm also going to be sure that I'm going to write. It takes a little bit. I'm not the best writer in the world here, obviously. I can trash it and try again. Okay. Let's see if I can pull it. No. Still not any good at it. But like I said, it just takes a little bit of practice with that. I could change the color if I wanted to. I'm going to go over here and I'm actually going to put in a little sticky note, and maybe maybe I have an anchor chart, and pink words are about, or yeah, pink, let's say pink is like a code for me to look at key words, and I'm going to put in, you know, something for me to look at. Another fun thing is, if you remember, we pulled up that teacher's guide and those, and the comprehension card. I've got those PDFs up here. So what I could do is, here's these comprehension cards. Why rewrite the questions? I could just copy this, and the answer here is on page 12 through 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over to my book. I'm going to toggle over to page 12. Scroll over. Here we go, page 12. I'm going to pop it up. And all my comprehension questions, let's see, I'm going to put them on a green sticky note. So I'm going to put it right here, and now I'm going to paste straight from that comprehension card. So you can do that from your teacher's guide or from your comprehension card, so you're not recreating that. So you can just quickly pop. So when I'm presenting this to my students, all I have to do is click on this little sticky note, and we're going to go, okay, so how are the library and the mall alike and different? Let's read and see if we can find the answer. And then here it is, and here's the answer. So yeah, there's a ton of really neat things you can do with that. Another fun tool that I like, and I do encourage you just to get in here and kind of play around with these tools. As like I said, anything can be changed in here. If you're in edit mode, it just really takes getting in here and playing around with it. But here's this shade. So what you could actually do is shade out the title. All right, so when my students see this and the book is up here, maybe as my students are coming in, this is up on my whiteboard, and I'm going to say, okay, what do you think the title of this book is called? Look at the picture. And if you remember, the title is actually Near and Far. And so it'd be really funny to see like what is, what's their hypothesis on what this book is about. And then after we've read the whole book, maybe have them write a title. What would you write for your title for this book? And then you could go over to your presenter mode here and click on the shade then, and oh, here it is. This is what the author chose for their title. So there's just some fun stuff that you can do as you're playing around in it. Now you can see we're in that presenter mode, so we can quickly hop through here, see what our things look like. This is a great thing to double check, especially before you use it instruction the first time, is go through here and check and see what does it look like. Can you see my yellow pen marks when I've done stuff? And here's my sticky note. What does it look like when I'm using it instruction? And just to get that feel for what it does look like. I'm going to pop back over to that edit mode right now, and I do want to point out another really neat feature. As we're going through the page spreads, you can see all these plus buttons. These are actually so you could add a page. And I couldn't really grasp, why would you want to add a page to your book? Well, as you're getting, bigger books, higher leveled books, they might even have several stories, or they're very text dense. So you may want to remind your students to go back through, answer a question. That question we just had that we pulled from that comprehension question card, it's wanting the students to go back and look and reread. And so you can put that at the end and actually have the students, if they're doing this as an individual, just as a cue, go back, reread, and answer. I can totally see an assignment coming out of that one. So you can actually do a blank page, and then you can write on that blank page. Then you also have the option to do a video page. You can see, you can put in a teacher tube video, but how many times do you see something really cool online and then you can't remember where you found it, or you have the wrong URL? So you could actually embed it. This can be a really great thing for a book opener, a unit opener. One of the books, Then and Now, talks about what did a factory look like? What did school look like? And so you could actually find a little video, just a 30-second video to get their brains and get them going. So this could be a really fun thing to incorporate into their experience. So that's how you would go about and do that. So that was a really quick, short thing, but I hope you feel more confident in using this. Another one tool that I do want to quick show you is, that you can put a box around. And so this is really good when you've got very text heavy stuff, is you can actually highlight some of the text and make it bigger and make those students focus on and chunk, their instruction. And so, like I said, you can customize the book many different ways, and so that it's a great way that all of your students can be in the same book, but you can differentiate it for different students' needs by just making simple adjustments. Or maybe, all your students are going to be learning about communities, but you might have them all doing the same activity, but in a book that's on their reading level. So that's a great way to have access to be able to do that. All right, so I hope you feel confident now kind of delving into those customizations. You can see we created that customization. So my customization title is actually highlighted here. It's in blue. So when I click on the book on the cover, the version of the book that's going to come up is whatever is written down here. If I click on that, I can actually say, okay, I want a blank copy. I want the regular copy. So now I've toggled down, now it says Near and Far. You'll notice that that's the title of the book. And so that's going to be the version that's going to come up. If I toggle on that again, click on it, Communities Opener. So when I'm doing instruction, if I've delved down into this book, that's the one that's going to open up when I open up that book. Okay. All right, so we're going to go back out to the library. We're going to click on the Smart Start Over. Okay, so now we're back out into the library. And just as a quick review, this is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time doing the filters that we've gone over, searching for books, creating your bookshelves, creating your assignments. You can see you can toggle over to assignments that you already have created and make changes to or get back in and remind yourself as well. So like I said, this is where you'll be spending the majority of your time. All right, to get back to that main menu where we were when we started, you can click on this little universe at the top. You can also just toggle over to a couple of the other tabs if you want to. I'm going to quick show you what that messages looks like. So this is once again just where you can have messages with your students. We're going to look at that assignments tab. This is where all of your assignments are housed. So you can look at your current assignments, assignments that might be closed. You can sort, you can go in here, can look at this on Unit Opener, see which students have done it. If there's a red dot, that means they haven't started it. If there's a yellow dot, that means that they're in progress with working on it, and a green dot means that they have completed it. You could also take this off of their, delete that from their assignments. You could view any student notes. As you can see, this assignment hasn't been started yet, and so there aren't any student notes here, but this is where you would go to find those notes. And then to customize the student's reading. So like I said, if you need to go in and put a couple extra sticky notes or turn on that audio or turn it off, you could do that by hopping in here. Or maybe you need to add some students. You know, maybe this is an assignment I did last year for my students. Actually, you can see it was over a year ago. And so maybe I have a whole new group of students that this would be an appropriate assignment for. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that same assignment. Maybe I might make a few changes, add another book to it, and then put new students into it. All right, so we're going to go back. Okay, scroll down here and take a look at this one real quick. Okay, so you can see here, here's the difference of the colors. The green means the student has completed it, the red means they haven't opened it, and the yellow one means they've opened it but maybe not completed it. We're going to actually click on his notes. Okay, let's see. But this is where it'd be, the blue ones are going to be the close reading notes, and then the yellow notes that would pop up would be all of his notes. Okay, so I guess because they haven't started this one, there aren't any in here. All right. You could create an assignment straight from here too on the right-hand side. And once again, up here, you'll see this little light bulb moment. Remember, that's just a little, if I'm not remembering how to use this page, I can just click on that and it's going to show me a quick little video. All right, and then I do want to point out there's a reading log feature. This is a new feature. So I could actually select a group of students. And let's see, these are all of the books that Art has actually read, and you can see their status. And so this is something that could be really cool for summer. You know, you could keep up with where your students are over the summer, or for nightly reading, you are able to actually, you know, go through here and see, okay, what type, was this part of an assignment? Did they read it, or did they just read it on their own independently? But this is a great way for you to see a log of what those students have done. All right, and then we will click on the Manage Students. Okay, this is where you can actually go in, click on your group of students. Okay, you can see I've already created all these different groups. So by clicking on the group name, I can see which students are part of this. So all my level B students, here they are. As we know that students should be going in and out, and these are flexible groups, you know, this can be changed. And so I can be like, okay, you know, Keisha is no longer a level B, she's going into the level A, and so I can move her in and out of those groups very easily just by going on here and clicking on their name and moving them, or you can put in another student's name here and pop it up and put them in here. Okay, you could add a new group if you wanted to very easily. We're going to pull down on the class. Let's see. Okay, pull in here. The bears, so you could change, you could drag and drop. All right, Ashley, I want her to be part of this group. Students can be placed in as many groups within here as needed. So a student could actually be assigned to several different teachers if they're working with, perhaps they're an English language learner. So they may be both in your class as well as in ELL instructors class as well. So that's how you get all of your students into different groupings, but as long as the student is assigned to you within Benchmark Universe, then you will have access whether they're in one of your own groups. You'll be able to pull them into an assignment. All right, and then scrolling down, the only other tab, would be that help, and this is where all the teachers' guides and videos are housed. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and click back. If I click on this little universe on the left-hand side, it's going to take me back to Benchmark Universe, and I forgot the help actually opens up as another window, so I popped back over. And then we are back to our dashboard where we started today. So I hope that this was helpful for you, that you feel a little bit more confident hopping in here and playing around with it. Like I tell everybody, I am not a technology person, so the fact that I can kind of get in here and play around with it says a lot to the program, that it really can be a big benefit for you and your students to play around with it, get into it, start making assignments, bookshelves. And then if you have any questions at all as you're working through it, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team, because we'd be more than happy to work with you, and so that you really are able to utilize this program to the best of your ability for your instruction. So I hope this was helpful, and we look forward to working with you again very soon. All right, have a good day.